Hey, what's up, boys and girls? It's Thursday. I'm doing this a little bit early because I figure you guys aren't going to give a crap what I got to say tomorrow because you're going to be busy out doing stuff and violating the mask order and being good Americans, and remembering what, yeah, see that flag right up there? Oh, yeah, you got to remember what that is about. It's Independence Day, people, so go outside, do what the hell you want to do. Um, so let's see, let's talk about a few things. I had very little happen to me this week that made me go nuts or anything, but there's just a couple things. I was at the bank earlier, and I was talking to the girl that I was making a deposit and everything, and I said, you know what? What I really miss is smiles. You can't see anybody smile anymore. And she pulled her mask down and she smiled. I thought that was pretty cute, and I said, well, thank you for that. And then the same thing happened. I got outside. There was a girl walking in front of me, and she was parked next space over from me, and then there was an older guy parked a little ways from me. So we're all kind of in the same general vicinity walking out. And the guy's coming towards me, and he doesn't have his mask on yet. And he smiled and said, "Good morning." And I said, "Good morning." And I said, "I appreciate the smile. You don't get to see any smiles anymore." And the other lady was walking by, and she pulled her mask off, and she did the ta-da thing, and she smiled at the two of us, and we both just laughed and said thank you. And so that was kind of a good moment because nobody's smiling. Everybody's running around. They got that panic look. They act like COVID's going to drop from the sky and just squash them like a bug or something. Everybody's just so freaked out. So it was kind of nice to actually see a couple of people smile. It's kind of nice. I like to spread those around. I like to make people laugh. I always have. It's good for morale. It's good for everybody, quite frankly. So there was that. Then I left and I was driving by Costco. Well, Costco must have 10 lanes going into the gas pumps, and they were like 12 deep with cars. And I'm thinking, Jesus, what are they giving away gas for free today? So, quite frankly, to save a couple of bucks, I am not sitting in line for an hour to save a couple of bucks. I'm just not going to do it. My time's worth more than that, and quite frankly, my aggravation. So I'm just not going to do it. And it kind of reminds me, there was a guy named Manuel. Some of you might know him. Kevin, you know him, I'm sure. And back home, I worked with him when I worked for the city back in the 80s. When he'd see in the paper that gas in Lamar was like, a nickel or a dime cheaper than it was in Springfield, boy, he'd jump in his truck and run up there. Well, this guy had like a Ford double cab with a 460 in it, which, back then, 460, you get like 6, 8 miles to the gallon or whatever. So, boy, he'd jump in that truck, two tanks, 20 gallons, he'd to Lamar, and he'd fill them both up with gas. So he'd drive. I told him, dude, you had to drive 90 miles, and it took over 2 hours of your life to go up there and save, what, $3? No, I'm not going to. Even back then, I wasn't going to do that. No way. And I'm not sure shit not going to do it today. But so anyway, there's a bunch of people at Costco that don't have anything better to do. They're going to save some money on gas. So bravo, good for them. Um, so I only ran into one. I guess I ran into one bona fide asshole this week. I was at the restaurant, my favorite cafe. I was in there, and my friend Tiffany came over. She's taking my order, and there was a guy. He was sitting over there on the other side, and he struck up a conversation with me. It's the first time he'd been there, and he was asking me about the food and everything, and complimenting the service, which is stellar every time. So he's sitting over there. He strikes up a conversation because we're kind of facing each other. We're on opposite sides of the, social distancing. I don't want to kill each other. So he asked me. He says, "So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm either going to be disappointed or not. But who are you going to vote for president?" I'm like, "Well, there's really only one answer to that question. You got Dementia Joe over here that can't remember what state he's in, much less why, and then you've got the most real president we've had since probably Ronald Reagan. So yeah, it's no doubt who I'm going to vote for." He's like, "Okay, well then I'm not disappointed." Well, then he goes into this rant about the First Amendment, which I'm all about the First Amendment too. And the First Amendment is pretty much dead right now because you can't say anything because it pisses everybody off. And quite frankly, I don't give a shit. But however, to a point, I'm not going to be a dick. So anyway, this guy starts talking about the First Amendment. He's like, "Well, the flag burning thing, and that's First Amendment." And all I said, "You know what? Just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean you should. So as far as I'm concerned, once you burn the flag, deface the flag, do anything, step on the flag or whatever, you're not a protester anymore. You're an asshole, and that's all there is to it." So then he keeps going about the First Amendment, and you could say, "Oh, he listens to music nowadays, and I can say whatever I want and all that." Just randomly throws out the N word. I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, it just keeps going, like he doesn't even know what my problem is, And I'm looking around, I'm like, Jesus, dude. So I'm kind of trying to ignore this guy now, because it's obviously he's a little off the rails, and so he's still talking over there. Next thing you know, he throws one out again. I'm like, dude, what the hell? I said, we're in a restaurant full of people that may not agree with the way you talk. I, for one, don't agree with it. So you need to stop. Yeah, well, I see that I'm making you a little uncomfortable, but it's my first. No, 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 no. First Amendment or not, no. And I was pretty much done eating, so I'm looking at my friend Tiffany, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, Jesus. So I got up and I went and paid and got the hell out of there. And so anyway, my waitress or me, neither one agreed with what he was doing. I mean, we're both conservatives, but Jesus, that's just wrong. So anyway, I had to get away from that guy, and I think it was his first time there. Hopefully, his last, because he was kind of a douchebag. Um, so okay, so let's move this over to a lighter note. My friend Jill, whom I've known probably since junior high back home, she's a COVID victim, and I guess the National Guard came in, they tested him, and they probably built a tent over her and wrapped her in a bag and took her home and tossed her in her house and locked the door and said, "Don't come out for 14 days because you might kill the whole town." So she's pretty outspoken. I'm sure she's pretty thrilled about that. So anyway, she's quarantined in her house for 14 days. So I've been kind of trying to send her stuff to cheer her up, make her laugh, because everybody can use a laugh, and I like to make people laugh, obviously. That's kind of why I got into this whole thing. So anyway, her daughter, Carly, the other day posted a thing on Facebook that was something to the effect of, if you were kidnapped, but they'd still let you post to social media, what would you post to let your family and friends know that you were in trouble? And it didn't take me long to think about that. There's many things I could have said, but what I posted was, I said, I'd sure like to have me a banana sandwich with some peas. That would tip off most of the people that know me, that I would, you could hold a gun to my head and you can shoot me because I'm not eating that slimy piece of crap. No, I'm not eating that. So, but there's many other things that I could have said. Hey, put those boobs away. I don't need to see those. I saw some yesterday. Yeah, you never ask my wife. You never hear me say that. What else? Liver and onions? Yes, please. Hook me up with some of that. That should have stayed on the gut pile, just for the record, when they butchered the cow or whatever. But anyway, there's that. 8-ounce glass of Mad Dog 2020? Sure, I'll pound that. No problem. I don't mind feeling like I'm going to die tomorrow. That's cool. I'll do that. One of the things I really miss, I'd like to really go back to working outside when it's 10 below zero again, because that was always fun. Yeah, you'll hear me say that. Let's see. A couple other things. The TV is too big. Yeah. I have too many guns, too many guitars, enough ammo. Yeah, these are things that you'll probably never hear me say. And there's probably some people that would disagree. I mean, the guitar thing, by the way, I got my blue one back. It's right up there. I got it back from having a pro setup done on it the other day. It sounds pretty nice. I really like it. Again, thanks Ashley Cole and my lovely wife, Kat. Really enjoyed it. So there's that. The only other thing I really want to talk about today is I'd like to touch on history a little bit and what it means to me. I have a picture outside of our kitchen doorway on the hallway wall, and it's an aerial view of the family farm back home in Two Buttes, from the sky. And I like to walk by. It reminds me of where I came from and who I came from, and who I am, in my heart, who I am. And you can't see them, but the shelves up above my desk up here are full of cars. I mean, I got a Trans Am up there. We remember that. I got my mom, my dad, my aunt, uncle, cousins, grandkids, kids, people that are important to me, people who made me who I am. And there's some bad things in my history. I mean, there's some things that I went through that I would never want to go through again. I mean, there's some people that did some shit to me that just broke my heart on a very deep level. And I don't want to go through that again, but you know what? I don't want to forget it because it made me who I am. I made some mistakes when I was a kid. Everybody does, but they make you who you are. So bringing me to my point, you little fuckers that want to tear down statues, you need to remember something. All of those statues, whether you agree with the guy's policies or who he was or whatever, they all made this country what it is. It was built, we made mistakes in the past, and some of them were fairly costly, but, there were some of us on the right side that were fighting to get to the right side. And, there were some speed bumps, but we made some mistakes. We got past them, and we're the greatest country in the world because of that. And some of you never knew that because you go to college and your professors are a bunch of communists and they tell you shit that just isn't true. And I don't even know what they're teaching you as far as history goes anymore. But like the other day, that Antifa, I'm not talking about everybody. But Antifa specifically seemed to be the ones causing a lot of trouble. A bunch of little spoiled-ass, guilty white kids from the suburbs that are feeling irrelevant and need to go out. And so maybe 20 years from now, if by chance they breed, God God forbid, they'll be able to tell their kids, oh, I was part of something back in the day. I was in the protest. Yeah, whatever, dude. First of all, you need to go down to the library while they still have them, and you need to get a history book, one that hasn't been skewed by a professor or whatever, and you need to read up on some stuff because they were going to tear down a statue, and they're actually having one removed in Boston, the Emancipation statue. They're trying to take down statues of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, because he's a white supremacist. Are you serious? Read your history, people. No, not that crap that your college professor told you. Read the history. This man freed the slaves, took a bullet in the head for doing it. So you might want to let that guy have a pass at the very least. And you know what? Leave Mount Rushmore alone. Leave the White House alone. Leave the Statue of Liberty alone, because you're going to have some problems if you. There's some of the things that you go after. It's going to touch off something that nobody wants to see. Everybody wants to just get back to being peaceful and getting along. Why can't we do that? Historically, like I said, we've made some mistakes, but we've gotten past that, and then everybody always wants to drag it back up so we can fight about it again. It's just non-productive, and it doesn't make any sense. I've said a million times, how I feel about different things. The people that really know me know how I feel about different things, but you know what? Leave history alone. It's what makes us who we are. It's what reminds us not to make those mistakes again so that we can move forward as a society. And all this violence and burning stuff down and bullshit isn't helping anybody. We got enough to deal with right now with, the virus and, all of that stuff. So let's just get past that. It's 4th of July weekend. It's Independence Day. And, it celebrates our independence from our oppressors, from England. And, now they're our greatest ally because, we had to kick their ass to get them past it. That's how you handle a bully. So anyway, it's coming up on 4th of July weekend. I know everybody's got some time off. I want you to spend some time with your family. Take that mask off. Go outside. Get some sun on your face. And for God's sake, smile at somebody. Do your part. Smile at somebody. At one point, just pull your mask down and smile at somebody randomly and just make their day. Let's do that. Everybody have a great 4th of July and enjoy it, and remember what it's for. This is Dave. Happy Independence Day. I'll see you guys next week. I'm out.